We are going to paint a little plant pot, a terracotta plant pot containing a lavender plant. Some of you may have seen my YouTube video, which has about 1 million views, I think, which is very nice. Everybody loves this, and some people do it again and again and again because it's great fun. So what I've got here, I'm going to show you. I'm using the one brush, which is the 5 that we have in our little pack. You could use a bigger brush, but I will go into that a bit more in another lecture. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the pot. So I'm going to position it. I'm going to make it, let me see, what am I going to do? Let's take it slightly off center. And it has a sort of a ridge, and then it comes down like that. Whoops, that's a bit wobbly. I was leaning over at the time. Right, see how wet that is? I've just picked up some of the pigment, which is the burnt sienna. Grab some water. I'm just going to use this pot here so you can see what I'm doing, but I literally sometimes just go in and grab some water just so we can let it all run and play and have a bit of fun. Right, my grid has gone a bit peculiar, but you see, I'm altering things as I go. Don't worry about things. Life's too short. We can rectify this as we go. So it's one of those terracotta pots that has a sort of a collar, as it were, and it comes down here. Now, just for fun, I'm taking some marks out. Okay, now what I've done here, let me explain what I've done. This is the front of the pot. This is the rim going round the back, and the plant is going to sit in there. Now, I've got most of my pot pigment on this side, making it pretty dark. Therefore, the light is coming this way. It's just symmetrical. Even that up a bit. There we go. We can sort all that out in a minute. Simply because there's going to be soil in there as well. Now, what I'm going to do next is put some green bits in for the stalks. And I have mixed here, a bit of my purple has seeped through. Not that it matters. This is a combination of some white and some lemon and ultramarine. Now, okay, there's the stalks going in, and lavender usually has quite lots of little leaves which just sort of spike. They spike off, as it were, the side of each stem. That's still very wet, but I'm not painting down there, so it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So to get this lavender effect, what I'm doing is putting more pigment in there. It's still damp and it's running around, and that is because all the stems are close together there, so not a great deal of light would get in. So think about this with your other paintings that you do. Think about where the really dark bits are and where the light can't get in. And I'm just dropping bits of colour in. This is a great little painting for putting on greeting cards. I've done it, oh, it must be hundreds of times. For paintings, for pictures, for cards, posters, all sorts of things. And I was very lucky one year to go over to Provence, which is east to where I live, where they produce lavender commercially, and there's an area you can go to where you have field upon field of lavender, and it's quite something to go and see when it's in bloom, and to smell, of course. And it is also equally amazing what different colours lavenders are. Right, now we have a bit of invasion from purple here, so I'm going to just wipe that out a little bit. Not that I'm that bothered. This is a fun little painting. But all the time as I am doing this, I'm thinking and I'm calibrating what's dry, where can I work next, that sort of thing. Now, I need some more green, so I'm going to get a big dollop of white. And I want it quite intense, so I'm not adding much water. I'm going to my lemon yellow, which looks as if it could do with a clean. Oh, navy ultramarine does as well. But that's okay, it's not the same colour, it's not exact. But I just want to get more stalks coming up. Especially as I have, a bit more blues required, especially as I have decided to place this towards the left. I sort of feel obliged to put something in this area. But having said that, never, ever, ever think you've got to fill every bit of paper. Leaving white can be very, very interesting indeed. They have a variety of growing habits. There's a lot of old wood, as it were, in here where the original plant was. Now I'm just going to do that, and what I'm doing there is I've left a little white rim there, which is sort of like a highlight of the light catching on the top of the terracotta pot. Right, okay, that's okay. Now I'm going to take some of this burnt sienna and I'm just going to put some which implies it's inside the pot. Now, can you see what I'm doing? This is why I wasn't worried when it went a bit strange over here, when the wheels fell off basically and I got paint where I didn't want it. Because what I've done, I have created with another colour the shape of the rim of the front of the pot, and I'm showing you also how the pot goes in, and that's the soil in there. So there is often a way around any problem. Great, okay, let's just rinse that brush off and just take a bit of water just to get some of that dark merging in there a bit. And while I think about it, I'm going back to the terracotta colour and just intensifying round there, okay? In fact, I put quite a deep rim on it, so I better do a bit more. Just dived in and grabbed some water then. So why I have been fiddling about with that there, a lot of this has dried off. Now what I'm going to do is I've already mixed a purpley colour with my alizarin and my ultramarine. It's dried off a little bit, so I might need to add a bit more water and make a bigger puddle. As I said, lavender comes in lots and lots of different but that'll do for now. Right, so what I'm going to do, this is where you're going to let the brush do the work. You know how lavender is, it's a stem with lots and lots and lots and lots of little buds on the end. So I'm just going to plonk up here for the sake of somewhere to start. And I'm making a clump. You've got to start somewhere, and once you make those marks, you can start to see where you're going to go next. I'm going to suck some of that paint out there and put it over here. And sometimes you get a little bit down, there's a shorter stem. I suppose there's going to be a horticulturist somewhere out there that's going to tell me that's not the case, but this is called playing with your paints. But what is happening is you are creating something that gives the impression. I talk about this a lot, I've mentioned it previously. You don't have to give the brain every single last detail. It will take one look at that and go, oh yeah, I think that's a pot of lavender. Okay, now as the light is coming this way, I want some shadow on the side of that pot, and I'm going to allow it to cast a shadow down on whatever it's standing on. For the sake of argument, because some of you might need this, let's just take a bit of something and just, there we are, let's just ground this pot. It might make some of you feel a bit more comfortable. So what I've done is effectively I've put a line in there that could be a table or something. Okay, does that help? Fine, but I'm just going to take some of that off because I just want it vague. Okay, so what I've got here now, I've got the burnt sienna. I'm going to take some of the blue we've done before for a dark, bit of water, and I'm going to drop it in this side of the pot. And I'm going to put some on the inside of that rim. It's a bit too strong. Take a bit out. And I'm going to come down here. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to go water, take it right to the edge. So the only bit that you can see is that shadow is casting the pot. You don't see any of that because that's too high up. Right, let's just bring that round a little bit. Take a bit more, drop it in. What I will do is wait for that to dry and put some more in, because if you think about it, where the pot is touching the surface of whatever it is sitting on, no light gets under there at all. Okay, that's coming on quite nicely. I'm now going to take some more and I'm going to, in fact, go and do it as it is. That's quite weak now, but I'm just going to put little more implication that there is more lavender down here. And you've probably realised by now that I'm rather partial to doing a bit of splattering. So I've got a load of very thin, milky consistency, and I'm get more. Probably needs a bit more water. That's rather pretty, though I say it myself. We want more of this dark. Just letting it run in. It's quite interesting actually how this paper, for whatever reason, has sort of resisted it in little spots, little places. Now sometimes it can be rather satisfying, because I know you're out there, those people with the, I like the little brush. You wait till I get you onto bigger brushes. Sometimes just to put the odd fine line in, like that, just makes a difference. And also because this is a cluster and there's shadow in there, you put a bit of the darker green in there, but not too specific, so let's just blob it out a bit. And I'm then going to also go back to this purple and just go down the left a little bit of some of those blooms, which are effectively, it's the shady side. Right, have I forgotten anything? My plant looks a little bit, my plant pot looks a bit wonky. Let's say it was somebody just learning how to throw pots. That'll do for me, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. And I also want to say to you, and I can't emphasise this enough, the pleasure I've had in just doing this. And if we spent more time in the now, enjoying the pleasure of the doing, we would all be a lot happier. Well, I think that's going to find its way onto a greeting card at some point. So we've used basically very few colours. I started with the pot. Actually, if you think about it, I got the empty pot, I put the plant in, added some soil, what's more to know? Light this way, shadows that side, and you can do this, I know you can. We've gone through quite a lot of learning, and this is why I'm saving these delights to the end, because you've been learning about colour mixing, you've been learning about making marks that matter, about shape, about positioning, all sorts of things. So have a go. You can do this, and remember, it doesn't have to look like mine. This is just an example of how it could be done. I've just realised I need more purple to go off on the tape, because we've gone off the tape there. So I just want a bit more. There we go. There you go. Happy little pot of lavender. Enjoy.